بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Just to start off with, my name is Muhammad Riyasat. In Pakistan, I live in village Kangdiyo near Chakswari, Mir Padazad, Kashmir, Pakistan. I will probably miss out a lot of things, details, but I'll just briefly say what I've been through. I came to United Kingdom in April 1962. My father brought me here. I was very young at the time. As far as I can tell, that I was the youngest person to arrive in Derby at the time. And I started the life in Pakistan. I used to go to school there, but because I was young, I wasn't sort of highly educated there. But it's a typical life in Pakistan with farmers and all sorts of things. When my father brought me here, I wasn't sure why my father actually brought me here, because I was very young and it was difficult for me to be away from my mother and brothers and sisters. And the life was alright in Pakistan, even though it wasn't very brilliant. When I came here, I came here to Derby and I started going to a primary school. The school was called Castle School. It is demolished now, but it was in Trafford Street near the town centre. My English was next to nothing, zero at all, because other people who I came to live with, my father and my uncles, they could not speak English either. So I had to start from scratch, actually going to the school and just picking up words by words from other children there. It was difficult first because they did not understand me and I could not understand them either. But it was very a different lifestyle, and being sort of only person of my age from our community, it wasn't easy. At the time, the trend with the older people was they used to work on factories, foundries in Derby, and at weekend they used to get together, probably go to the cinema or play cards. That was the main trend. For me to actually sort of mix up with my age, it was sort of nothing there at all. So I had to sort of sit and listen to the gossips and other people had. When I arrived, it was really one of the coldest winter in I think UK on the histories. So that did not made it easier for me as well. But it was something which I initially was really worrying for me, because I did miss my mother and my brother and sister, and I was on my own. And in school when I started, I was the first Pakistani to go to that school, so it wasn't easy. When I sort of arrived, my father, he owned a house, so I was living with my dad and my uncle. So there were four or five people living there. There have been a lot of changes in Derby. The house which I used to live was in town centre Derby, where the Eagle Centre is now. It's totally demolished. The street was known as Bloom Street, off Albert Street. Nowadays, I think there's a Dixon store actually built onto that spot where I used to live. Old memories are still with me. So I started school in primary school. And then I went into secondary school because there were 11 plus exams which I failed in English language. The reason being because I wasn't able to speak much English either, so I had to go to secondary school instead of grammar school. But it all started working and it was good, and I picked up a lot of things. One advantage which I did have was that I was a very sports-minded person, and naturally I was good at sports. So I started playing football, which I was quite good. I started playing for school team, and that helped me a lot to integrate with other children as well, especially at second school level. That was really good because football was very good with me, other sports as well. So I made a lot of friends and I was quite happy. So the school life was good. But when I became 15 in 1968, I left school at 15 and took up apprenticeship in Bradford in a woolen industry, textile, and I became a mechanic in woolen industry there. I lived for 10 years in Bradford with my father. Then we moved back into Derby again in 1978, and that's where I sort of, while I was there, I was very keen on footballing side, and some of the things we had to do at the time was cooking, washing up, cleaning the house, everything. We being the youngest, most of these jobs were done by myself. The elders were just ordering us around, you need to do this, you need to do this, because you're the younger. So nowadays the youngsters have quite a good, nice life, good life. The first job I took was as apprenticeship in Bradford, and the job was in a woolen textile, and my first salary was £4.15, which is about £4.75, and I was very happy because that was very good money at the time. We lived in 10 years in Bradford. Mostly I was involved in sports there, football, volleyball, or weightlifting, that sort of thing. That's where I sort of was interested. But then the family, my father moved back into Derby in 1978, and I came back here. Because the qualification I had was in woolen textile, and in Midland there's nothing, any sort of that sort of job going in here. So I had to take a job in Courtaulds in Spondon as just a machine operator, which I didn't like. After working for a couple of years, I started going to my own business. As far as the community works goes, I think being in Derby, I started community work in the mid-80s, and I became a general secretary at Derby Jamia Mosque, which is based on Rosal Street, and that gave me a lot of experience to work within the community. At the same time, I became a member with the Pakistani Community Centre. A few years later, I became chairperson of the Pakistani Community Centre. In that sense, I was heavily involved with the community work as well. We did whatever we could, but there was lots of friction, like brotherlyism, which I wasn't used to this because I was very young when I came here. And that is something which held us back, I feel, that brotherlyism played a negative part within our own community. It is difficult, even nowadays it does carry on, but it's not at the same volume as it was before. It's a lot less. I'm pleased to see the youngsters nowadays, they're not into these, but there was a time when this was a major thing which held our community back. We would have achieved a lot more. But I think in the 80s there were capable people, very few capable people who could actually communicate in English. And there were a lot of people who were doing a brilliant job who actually organised purchasing of the mosques, which our elders did, and they did a great job, especially with the first mosque which was bought, a house in Dairy Afro in 1963, the opening was. And I'm proud to say that I was one of the youngsters, initial youngsters, to attend the mosque with a few other now old people, but we were youngsters at one time. Becoming a part of the community, it sort of gave me pleasure actually working for the community, giving my time to the community. It wasn't easy. One of the achievements which I feel that in my time I did was actually trying to get a dress code for the Pakistani girls in school, which organization which we set up with other friends called Council of British Pakistanis, and I was part of a subcommittee which dealt with education. And I'm not going to go into a long decision, but there were a few of my friends and myself. I was heading that subcommittee that which actually requested that the parents should get a choice if they want their daughters to wear a traditional dress. Also, the other thing was that the PE lessons were conducted in shorts, leotards and that sort of thing, really tight for the girls, and we said no. We wanted the young girls to have an option to wear tracksuits. Plus, I think there was swimming was issue as well. We also said that swimming should be separate for the girls, especially 11 to 15. And just to cut the long story short, which I negotiated a lot with the Education Authority as well as a school called Homeland School. I can remember the name of the head, Mr. Knapp. And initially we did achieve this, that the parents did get an option to actually, if they wanted the girls to wear traditional salwar kameez, they could do so. That's one thing which I'm proud that I have actually done in Derby for the community. And I think apart from that, I have participated in a lot of other organizations and given my utmost for the community as much as I could. Just to name some of them, I was part of Racial Equality Council of Voluntary Organizations. Also, I was at one time in a panel which shortlisted the minority teachers from the community. Lastly, I've been a chair of the Job Education and Training on Normanton Road. But these are some of the things which a small part which have been sort of contributed from my side. Other people have contributed a lot in Derby as well. The only thing I would like to say, there are lots of people, a lot of our elders who have passed away in late 50s and 60s. They have done a lot of community work, and nowadays when we have a meeting at the mosque or the community centre, I hardly hear their names, that these people have put so much effort in really difficult time to provide something for the community. And I like to say that we should make a special dua for these people who have passed away, even though we don't know their names, but there have been people in our community who really have been a strength on setting up the right path as establishments such as the mosques, the community centre and the advice centres. And also I think we need to remember that people who came in early, did not speak any English language at all, and they did have problem of form fillings and all sorts of things which nowadays which we do not have. And I just hope that we do remember these elder people who have given us really valuable time.
And what is your message to these young people?
I think the young people, my message would be, because I have actually gone to 3 generations now myself. A lot of people have gone to 2 generations, but I've actually, because I was very young when I came. So my message is, do not forget your roots, and if remember your roots, and the education is the best thing to go forward. If you're educated, you will hold your own wherever you go. You'll have better jobs, you'll be able to get, I think you'll be able to put your views forward to other people as well, and have a really nice debate with other people as well. Education is the main thing, but at the same time, do not forget your roots, your parents, your community, because at the moment, sometimes I get an impression that we get a lot of children who are highly educated. Yes, good, they get a really nice job, but the experience is highly educated children, they move away from home, they get married to educated people, they would rather not live in your own community dominated area as well, they want away from them. That does not help you. I mean, I have lived all my life in Normanton, my children are in Normanton. I had options to move away into Littleover, Allestree, but I am glad I stayed in Normanton. The family life is something which is a unique. Only when you become parents you will realize that these are things which account a lot more than your jobs, your education, the money and everything. A close knit within your family is the best thing, and I hope education go forward, but Islamic education is equally important to yourself as well. And respect your elders, respect your parents.